Hezbollah's sustained assault on Israel's northern frontier has exposed vulnerabilities with the Iron Dome system. One civilian was killed in Israel as Hezbollah's barrages continue to rain down. This next report explains how the Lebanon-based group, despite suffering setbacks, continues to evolve its tactical prowess.
Israeli cities are ablaze. Rockets and drones continue to rain down, bringing terror and death. Israel's Iron Dome air defense system, long hailed as a nearly impenetrable shield, is under unprecedented strain. Hezbollah has breached this defense with a steady barrage of rockets and drones, many of which evade interception and strike their targets, sending Israeli civilians scrambling for cover. Questions are now being raised over the effectiveness of these systems, though Israel has a multi-layered defense system. Apart from Iron Dome, it has Arrow system, David Sling, and even the latest, American THAAD, forming a formidable defense shield. Hezbollah has launched over 12,400 projectiles into Israel over the past year alone. Drones also target Israeli military sites and civilian areas, including the residence of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The Iron Dome, which relies on mobile tracking radars and interceptor missiles to neutralize incoming rockets, boasts a 75 to 90% success rate, but each interception costs around $50,000. This high cost, combined with the increased volume of Hezbollah's rockets, which cost a couple of $1,000 or even less, is testing Israel's air defense system like never before. On the ground, Israeli forces are encountering fierce resistance in Lebanon's challenging terrain. Hezbollah fighters, leveraging their intimate knowledge of the region's rugged hillsides and steep valleys, are effectively impeding Israeli military advances. The Iran-backed group's battle-hardened operatives are employing sophisticated guerrilla tactics, forcing Israel to reassess its ground campaign strategy. When it comes to aerial attacks, Israel has complete dominance. Israeli fighter jets continue to launch widespread assaults across Lebanon, targeting Hezbollah infrastructure. Lebanon's Bekaa Valley and the ancient city of Tyre have seen the deadliest bombardment. Lebanon's health ministry has reported approximately 2,700 deaths in the past month. The conflict has also claimed 59 lives in northern Israel and the occupied Golan Heights. The conflict has brought devastation on both sides, but Hezbollah's stiff resistance and the pressure on Israel's defense systems show that this confrontation is far from a one-sided battle. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Peter Kuznick is a professor of history and director of the Nuclear Studies Institute at American University. Professor Kuznick is now joining us from Washington, D.C. Welcome, Professor. It almost looks like Hezbollah has been testing Israel's defense capabilities with their constant rockets. Do you think that is the case, first of all, having in mind what they have been vowing, that they are not stopping anytime now?
Hezbollah is fighting back, and they're fighting back somewhat effectively, but the slaughter continues in Gaza, and it's the Lebanese who've been suffering most of the casualties. But Hezbollah has got an enormous number of rockets, missiles, and drones. Before the Israeli attack in Lebanon, Israeli invasion, they had about 150,000 of these. The estimate is that they've already shot 12,400 various types of projectiles into Israel. The Israeli system is very effective at shooting down the missiles, ballistic and other missiles. They're somewhat effective at shooting down the rockets, but they're less effective at shooting down the drones. So the drones are able to get through the Iron Dome Israeli defense system, and some of them have been hitting their targets. Israel is working on new means of intercepting these slow-moving drones, but they're not ready to employ them yet. So between the THAADs and the Arrow systems and the David Sling, they have an effective layered system to take out the missiles, but they are still vulnerable, and the Hezbollah is getting through some of these. We estimate that Hezbollah's got at least 2,000 of these drones that are very effective against Israel. So if even Israel shoots down 75% or 90%, that means that a number get through and cause damage and kill people. It doesn't compare with Israel's capability of attacking in Lebanon or slaughtering in Gaza, but it is at least a countermeasure.
All right, a countermeasure indeed. Professor Kuznick, let's talk about the vulnerabilities of Israel. Do you think Israel is ready and fit enough to go into a full battle with both Hezbollah and Iran combined?
You know, Israel is counting on, if it goes to war with Iran, that its big brother, the United States, is going to step in and do the fighting. I've been arguing that Netanyahu's got two goals. One is to trigger a war between the United States and Iran, and the other is to make sure that Donald Trump gets elected. For as feeble as Biden has been in restraining Israel, Donald Trump has made clear that there'll be no constraints when he gets in there. He even insanely urged the Israelis to take out Iran's nuclear facilities. So it's very troubling. Israel by itself would have a very hard time defeating all of its enemies at once in the region. But with the United States support, and you have to look at how many weapons and troops the U.S. has in that area. Aircraft carriers, ground forces, fighter jets, other ships. The United States is prepared and ready for that war. Biden is hoping it doesn't happen before the November 5th election, because that could be a wild card. We don't know how that would play out in the United States if the U.S. gets dragged into a war. But Biden's ability to limit and constrain Netanyahu has proven to be very, very limited.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. I've been talking to Professor Peter Kuznick. He's a professor of history and director of the Nuclear Studies Institute at American University. Professor, as always, thank you for talking to us today. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.